Ladies and gentlemen, President Bill Clinton.
Thank you very much. You know, when a president is about to leave office, most of the time, most people are dying for him to go on and get out of there. But there are a few little rituals that have to be observed. One of them is that the president must host the incoming president in the White House, smile as if they love each other, and give the American people a feeling that democracy is peaceful and honorable and there'll be a good transfer of power. You might be interested to know that the only thing George Herbert Walker Bush asked me to do is to preserve the points of light. And now, hundreds of millions of hours of volunteer work have been done. I've always been grateful that he asked and that I listened. So when I was leaving and George W. Bush was coming in, the only thing I asked him to do was to preserve AmeriCorps, and he did. And I'm very grateful. I thank you. When you've had the honor of being president and your ambition is slaked and most of your fights are done, all you really want to do is make sure that by the time you leave this earth, things are a little better off than they were when you showed up. So I set up this foundation and I went to work. Then George W. Bush did me one of the great favors of my life. He asked me not once, but twice to work with his father to help people in need, first in South Asia in the tsunami, and then in the Gulf Coast after Katrina. All told, we took 7 trips together. It was an amazing experience. And this man whom I'd always liked and respected and then run against in a painful campaign in some ways, I literally came to love. And I realized all over again how much energy we waste fighting with each other over things that don't matter. It got so ridiculous, our odd couple partnership, that Barbara began to refer to me as her black sheep son. You know, the one that strays, there's one in every family, gets the politics wrong or makes some other mistake. This is a story that began with an improbable meeting in the White House between 2 people who had just fought a tough campaign, and all he asked me to do was to preserve the points of light. Now, as a result of that, he can virtually do no wrong in my eyes, even though he, every 5 years, makes me look like a wimp by insisting on continuing to jump out of airplanes. I love you.
Feels exhilarating. You get a physical charge out of it. It's just exciting.
That was the biggest thrill of my life. Ours too.
I'd say get off the bench and do something. Get in the game. Nobody's interested in people who just sit around and whine about things are bad. And get in there and try something. Help somebody else. Be a part of something.
He was born into a comfortable life in Greenwich, Connecticut. The Bush family believed that with privilege comes responsibilities.
Well, my father set an example for us. He was a very successful business guy, and he came out, and while others would go home and have a drink at night, he'd be the moderator of the Greenwich town meeting, which was like mayor in those days of our little town.
The senator from Connecticut His father believed in devoting time to one's country. His parents instilled the values by which George would measure his life.
Because we did have a reasonably comfortable life, like during the Depression, we'd get good meals and all of that. They just said, that's not enough, you gotta do something. Give something back, be of service. And I felt that way all my life.
He'd been accepted to Yale and met the love of his life. Then America went to war. He enlisted in the Navy Air Corps.
I was commissioned an ensign in the Navy on my 18th birthday, and then I became a pilot. I like flying off carriers. I like the thrill of landings and takeoffs on an aircraft carrier. That addition to the whole concept of just pure service. As I said, I was a scared little 18-year-old kid. For the first time in my life, doing something that was important, really, and doing something that had some risk in it. It was defining for my life.
I was so young, I don't think I had any idea of how really awful this all was.
After flying 58 combat missions over the Pacific, he was shot down in 1944, then rescued at sea. He left the Navy with both the Distinguished Flying Cross and the memory of best friends who didn't return. George and Barbara set off to make their new life in Texas. It became their home. And it was here that he first ran for political office. Public service was always his calling and his life's work. United States Congressman, Ambassador to the United Nations, U.S. Envoy in China, Director of the CIA, Vice President, and then elected as the 41st President of the United States. At his inauguration, he delivered the same message to the country he had learned from his parents.
I've spoken of 1,000 points of light, of all the community organizations that are spread like stars throughout the nation doing good.
Well, points of light concept is that, helping others, doing something for somebody else. And I believe in it. It's nothing we discovered. I mean, it's been out there for many, many years. Volunteerism, helping other people.
He established the first presidential office to promote volunteerism.
There's so many things that take no energy, really, but just thoughtfulness. You can go to schools and tutor a child one day a week. There's just a lot of things you can do. Certainly hospital volunteers are wonderful. I'm fascinated with the school system because I think that's the most important thing that we can do is to educate our children.
There were great changes in the world on his watch. An end to the Cold War with the Soviet Union and the building of an international coalition to fight the Gulf War. He worked across party lines, trying to ensure continuing opportunities for all Americans. Leaving is just another opportunity to start something new.
An important thing in my life now is the George Bush School of Government and Public Service here at Texas A&M University. I get a great satisfaction over the fact that these young people come here, and part of what they learn, or part of what they're encouraged to learn, is the idea of giving something back, the idea of government and public service.
The award that bears his name honors lifelong commitment to public service without regard for party lines.
Now, partisan politics means much less to me, and participating in these broader pursuits is more important.
And in times of tragedy, he became the face and force of the call to join together.
I call them the odd couple.
Bill Clinton and I established this friendship that really came from trying to help others. You don't have to be hostile in your opposition. I don't think you need to be hateful about those people that disagree with you. And working with him, I think we'd established that. There can be no definition of successful life that does not include service to others. And I really feel that in my heart.
George is different from other people, truthfully. You can't find fault with him because he's generous and loving and kind. I'm sorry I said that, but it's true.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Thank you all very much. I want to particularly thank the other presidents that were here. Very grateful to President Carter, President Clinton, President Bush, and everyone else that participated in this. God bless you all, and have a great evening.